Hey Shelby,
Hi, how you doing?
good yourself?
I'm good, thank you. How has the last month been treating you?
Busy. We're coming to an end on planting season and about to enter the summer aftercare season and getting a bunch of things organized. Our signal boost initiatives coming to an end. So it's been real hectic around here, but it's been fun.
But that's good though. That's good. Busy is always good.
Keeps you on your toes, I can tell you that.
Yes, yes, for sure. Well, thanks for agreeing to chat. I appreciate it.
No problem. It's a great opportunity to be able to talk with you guys.
For sure, for sure. I guess starting off, do you maybe want to give a background for the organization that you work for? And
Yeah,
then we can talk
so
a little more about you.
I'm Shaquille Sealy, and I am the Westminster Pond Center coordinator at ReForest London. So ReForest London is a nonprofit tree planting organization within the city of London. And so our goal is to plant as many trees on different land uses in order to increase the number of trees and have London thriving in an urban forest. And so we do residential land, commercial land, we do private property, we do parks, we work with the city, just any land use you can think of, we try to work with those partners to get trees put in the ground. And one of the great initiatives that ReForest London has done is in pursuit of planting as many trees as possible, we developed the Million Tree Challenge back in 2011. And so we are actually about halfway there. We are hitting about 500,000 just about this year, which is amazing. So we're 500,000 in already.
Wow.
And so obviously our organization has been one of the organizations who's kind of looked at the city of London and we've kind of seen areas where there was more need and we've kind of tried to find ways to fill those areas. So in 2015, one of the areas that we saw was an issue was environmental organizations weren't really communicating as best as they could. A lot of people were doing amazing things, but there wasn't a way for everyone to just kind of be on the same page and communicate and work together. And so with the help of Thames Talbot Land Trust, we incubated the Len Environment Network. After 3 years, Len went on its own, and Len has been doing an absolutely fantastic job increasing their membership. They've been developing their own programs. Their Edie, Skylar, and her team are just absolutely amazing. So we're super proud to see Len continue to grow. And then the next challenge kind of came up for us. And in 2016, we were able to acquire some land behind Parkwood Hospital. And since then, we've been focusing on developing the Westminster Pond Center, which is a sustainability center for the City of London. So it's going to be a community sustainability center. We have three pavilions and one big community center that we're renovating. It's meant to showcase environmental design, green infrastructure, and also allow organizations to come here and work together for environmental cause for the benefit of our London community.
Well, that's a mouthful. What you guys do is great. Your organization as a whole, but specifically your Westminster Pond Center area is pretty closely aligned with what we're trying to do over here. And so that sounds super great. I guess the next thing I'd be curious about is the path that led you to where you are now. Just kind of give people an idea of a possible career route.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit unorthodox. So growing up, I always thought I was going to be in health. I always thought I was going to be in healthcare. And I went to the University of Waterloo for health studies. And so while I was there, I played football. I did my degree. I got a pre-health specialization. So I was very much well on the way of believing healthcare is where I was going to end up. And I also got a minor in psychology. But one of the best things about Waterloo is that I got to do co-op as part of my program. And so that really opened my eyes to the many opportunities that were out there for me. So I got to work in a sexuality, marriage, and family studies department doing research. I got to work in a psychology lab, being a lab coordinator, doing infant developmental psychology. I got to go work up on an Indigenous reserve in Northern Quebec and do youth sports programming. So I kind of got to be all over the place and get a variety of experiences. And it was my last co-op up in Nemska that really kind of made me realize that I really, really enjoy being active. I really, really enjoy being outdoors, and I can't really see myself just sitting at a desk. And I really enjoyed helping people learn. And so that led me to kind of shift my trajectory, and I decided to go to the University of Guelph to do my master's in capacity development extension with a focus on rural and remote communities and really trying to help them develop their capacity to meet their goals. And as I was doing my master's, this job opportunity kind of popped up, and it was environmental education. I was like, this is perfect. This is like what I want to do. So I applied, and I was fortunate to be selected, and I was selected to be the Signal Boost Initiative coordinator. So the Signal Boost Initiative is a program of the Westminster Pond Center, and its goal was to work with nonprofit and environmental community members to increase the quality and quantity of environmental education throughout the City of London. And so my ability to connect with community, with how much I loved helping people learn and learning about a variety of topics and facilitating, that is what really drew me to that role. And so I started doing it and then was excelling in the role. We were able to really jumpstart where that program was going. And then I was fortunate enough to be given a promotion and become the Westminster Pond Center coordinator. And it's been an absolute blast, really learning more about property management, infrastructure, really seeing our dream become reality. And also being able to work with community still to really get the idea of what the community believes the Westminster Pond Center should become as a true gem for environmental action in the London community.
Well, that's awesome. I've noticed that over these chats with different people in the field, that's typically the response that I get is, well, it's not really a usual path how I got here. And I think we've figured out that there isn't really a usual path to a career in the environmental field. If it's meant for you, it'll work itself out. But typically people start in a different area. One of my favorite professors started with a math undergrad, and now he's a fluvial geomorphologist. So you can be anything you want to be, I guess, is the bottom line. But I appreciate you sharing your path, and shout out for fellow Waterloo alumni, a little bit biased. But health actually overlaps the environment quite a bit. And I think that a lot of people have noticed that throughout the pandemic, where there wasn't indoor places to go, they'd go outside and then they realized, oh, wow, the value of this park is actually really high for me and for other people. And I guess that could be one of the benefits to come out of this horrible situation. But they're intrinsically linked, and I think a lot of people need to realize that a lot more. And places more like cities like Toronto and London seem to get that, especially when it comes to stormwater management and trees and air quality and things like that. So I think what you guys are doing is fabulous. So thanks for the debrief as to what you guys are doing. Anytime.
Yeah. Ecosystem health is just absolutely important, and it's very nice to see more and more people taking in a more holistic view of health, and in which includes the environment, and seeing how important it is not just to our human health, but also to the wildlife around us, our waterways, and just in general how we live.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody's connected. And also congratulations on the 500,000 trees. Oh my God, that's crazy. It's
halfway. We still got more to go.
11 years and you've done 500,000 trees. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, we still got it. We still got a little more to go, but it's going to be exciting. And we're going to have a celebration in September to celebrate that milestone. And then we're going to keep going. Hopefully we can speed up a little more and get even more trees in the ground. And then we can celebrate the big million.
That's awesome. Do you guys have any other initiatives that are upcoming for this year that you guys are looking to accomplish aside from the aftercare?
Yeah, so we have Celebration Forest every year. That's an annual event where people can buy a tree in memory or in celebration of a loved one or a pet, and they get to plant them in Celebration Forest. So it's kind of a nice little memento as the accomplishment or the individual or the loved one gets to live on by giving back through their contribution in the forest. And then we also will still have a variety of environmental education events. We're actually starting a new program for teachers in London called the Trees for Teachers program. And so we're offering them professional development. And then during the school year, we are allowing them to work with us to be able to have schoolyard plantings to essentially develop nature classrooms and do tree planting in their schoolyard, and also seedling growing kits so that they can do different kinds of activities with their students to really broaden their reach, but also really help the teachers out. They've kind of been going through a lot over the last 2 years, lack of field trips, lack of being able to have community partners inside the schools, and they're always looking for resources. So trying to find a way to make it simple for them, easy, so it's not a burden for them to make these fun and great learning opportunities to come into their classroom. That's what we're trying to do for them.
Yeah, is that with the TVDSB then?
So we're doing it with all 4 school boards in the London area. So the French Catholic, the Public French, London District Catholic, and TVDSB.
Wow, that's quite a big project. But that sounds super exciting. I think that that's a great opportunity, especially getting down onto the level of elementary school and like getting them while they're young, like in a way, because we see how successful that is with things like seatbelts and recycling and
yeah, well, it's kind of crazy because our executive director, Dean, he always talks about it whenever we have new staff. But when I first started, we just sat down and we're like, okay, so like, when's your first memory of like what made you want, like care about the environment? And like everyone, it's like, oh, I went camping as a kid, or I used to canoe, or I had a forest in my backyard. And it always seems to stem back to childhood.
Yeah.
And so it's like those things that seem so random just made such a difference that now we're living it. So it makes a difference in these kids' lives, and it does make a difference for our community moving forward. So that's why we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you're familiar, but at least the TVDSB anyways, they offer a bunch of specialist high skills major programs, and one of them is the environmental concentration. And I think that's great because my schools didn't have that when I was growing up, and I would have loved to participate in that program. So I think it's great that you're getting involved.
The Thames Valley District School Board has had their H3 ELP program, which is heart, hands, and head environmental leadership program. So the students get to come for a full semester, and they are actually in the building next door to us on the Westminster Pond Center property. And they get to work with environmental community members, they get to work with different organizations, and they get to learn practical skills within the environment sector. And after the end of the semester, they get 4 high school credits. And so it's a grade 10 program, absolutely amazing. COVID really threw a wrench in the cogs, but they were here in the fall and they were here in the winter, and they just actually wrapped up the winter semester. Absolute great group of students. The teachers are awesome. Scott is a great programmer. Aaron Much, who was before him, was amazing with it. And I'm just excited to see them continue to grow right beside us.
That's so great. I think anything for credit, like anything additional is great, but anything for credit is even better. Like I remember doing the community service bit because they're always like, you have to do your 30 hours of community service, and everybody puts it off until grade 12, until like your last semester. You're like, oh my God, somebody take me for 30 hours, please. And I remember there was a place out of Brantford and they were doing a bunch of tree plantings, and I can't remember what the organization was at the time, but I spent most of my hours doing that and then a couple other things. And that was like the best. I remember being like, oh, I'd love to do this as a job someday. How do I do this as a job? And then I went to post-secondary to do stuff like that as a job. And it means so much more than I think what people value it as right now. And I think it's because a lot of people that are making the decisions as to whether or not it's important or not didn't have those opportunities when they were younger. So they don't understand the value of it the same way that somebody who's currently in high school and has no idea what they want to do can value that. So I think that's great. Good for you. That's so exciting. I love to hear about that. I wanted to also get your opinion on the future of environmental education, what you think would be ideal going forward to promote initiatives and get more people involved and really see a societal change.
So we've actually been, the pandemic, for how hard it was a great learning opportunity for organizations, the general public, for everyone. And so one of the things that we have been able to really delve into more is the idea of hybrid learning. So being able to offer the online aspect so we can increase reach and convenience for people, but also still having that hands-on aspect, that lived experience aspect, where people can actually immerse themselves within an experience. I'm a personal believer, hence why I did a co-op program for university, in getting that practical experience and getting your hands dirty and like moving it through. But I know there are people who an online presentation is what gets to them, or being able to watch a specific speaker is what really gets to them. So being able to really get to people where they're at, be able to meet their needs is the first step in being able to go where we want to go. And then the other piece is really going back to what we were talking about, having a holistic view of the environment and really showing people that we can meet you where you're at. If you're really, really big about bees, we can start off with the bees. If you're really, really big about energy, we can start off with maybe electric vehicles or active transport like cycling, right? Maybe you're super passionate about water. Okay, stormwater is great to start. And from there, we can then open the horizons and be like, yeah, stormwater is a major part of our local London environment. However, we also have parks. We have all of our trees that need to go around the stormwater ponds to protect the stormwater. We also have the way in which people get around London via transportation, our transportation network. That affects how all of us live, and also water runoff and so on and so forth. So really starting to let people see and make those connections about how one aspect of life impacts another and how it all comes together under the umbrella of the environment.
Yeah, for sure. Meet people with their interests, you know, and I think that's why it's so easy for people to get behind tree plantings or recycling, because that's their everyday. Everybody has seen a tree and climbed a tree, had a swing that came out of a tree, planted a tree, whatever. You cut down a tree for wood. Like you got to meet people with what they're familiar with, especially as they get older and they haven't been exposed to it yet. They're only going to be interested in things that they're interested in, if that makes sense. So
yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that that's a great way to connect it. I think ideally I would like to see it be more incorporated into the curriculum for schools, especially public schools, because I know Catholic schools are a little bit more willing to adopt, I don't want to say like not necessary education, but more in-depth optional things that are not necessarily strictly the curriculum set out by the province. And I think that that would be a great way to get involved. We had a class at my one school and it was all environmental stuff. So it was geography, but our professor or our teacher did all of his education like me in the environment field. And so he's like, yeah, this is geography, but also this is an environmental class because that's what I actually care about. And it was great because that was my only exposure. And I feel like a lot of people got a lot out of it just having that one class. And it being mandatory helped, obviously, for people to be there. But I think even just having the course offering in the first place, like maybe it's not mandatory, maybe it's a grade 11 or 12 thing, but if you want to take it, you could, and it would count for credit.
Programs like the HELP program. Programs like the HELP program are absolutely huge for that. And I know that they're looking for ways to expand those kind of opportunities, which is only going to help more and more students be able to really explore different things, and maybe they find their passion in that, right? So I'm very big on especially the younger students in early high school, just using it as a chance to explore, learn more about yourself, and find your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree for sure. I feel like that's kind of the disconnect that I'm trying to bridge in a way with all the resources and the education guide and stuff, is to be like, here's something in case you don't have anything based out of your schooling or wherever you're from, or maybe your parents didn't go to school, and that's totally fine, but that would also limit your exposure to options, right? So I think just providing the content and the availability of programs and stuff is so monumental, because then they can make the choice for themselves. And I think you'd see a lot more people in the environment field if there was more exposure, for sure. Because who doesn't like a park? Who doesn't like a trail? Who doesn't like going swimming on a lake in the middle of summer? Nobody. So yeah, I think it'd be great. Well, I appreciate the chat. If there was anything else you wanted to add, now is the time. Otherwise, I will let you get back to your busy schedule.
No problem. It was actually fantastic talking to you, and it's a great opportunity what you guys are doing at Bluebird Environmental. And so I really hope that this can help people out. If people want to learn more about ReForest London or the Westminster Pond Center, they can easily check out our website or our social media. Both of them are just our names. So on Instagram, ReForest London, and then Westminster Pond Center on Instagram. And then our websites are just our names.ca. So you can check out, we have resources, we have events that people can check out, we have ways you can get involved if you're looking for volunteering opportunities. So yeah, if you're really into sustainability within the London community, or you're more so into direct tree planting and taking care of trees in the London community, ReForest London, the Westminster Pond Center definitely have a place for you.
Thank you so much again and have a great day. It was lovely talking to you.
You too, Shelby. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.